this was a trade where when I first saw it, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a lot to give up for a guy that my impression of as somebody that didn't know much about him other than the couple times that he pitched against Baltimore was, former top prospect who hasn't really panned out. And so I saw that. I was like, whoa. And then honestly, every day that's gone by, I've liked the trade more and more. The guys that they gave up, it was a lot. But let's look at it this way. You have 3 years left of Gunnar Henderson. Even under the new reality with David Rubenstein, and maybe they are going to spend a lot more money. And maybe it is possible that they can keep Gunnar Henderson in Baltimore. Even if they try their best, it's still probably more likely than not that he goes elsewhere, considering the type of player he is, considering he might get a contract that is over $500 million, and one of the teams in New York or LA just say, I'm going to get this guy no matter what. So given that, you have 3 years to compete. You've got 3 years. This window is open for 3 more years because you have Gunnar Henderson. And so Shane Baz helps you in these next 3 years. None of those prospects, for the most part, were really going to be factors in that 3-year period, especially not in 26 or really 27. So in that sense, I like it. Now, if you can kind of compare it with the trade for Taylor Ward, where you gave up Grayson Rodriguez, who was also a controllable starting pitcher, Shane Baz has a way higher floor than Grayson Rodriguez.
Yes.
That we saw what Grayson's floor was in 2025. And his ceiling is arguably just as high, if not higher. And so when you look at it like that, the rotation and the lineup are in a much better spot because you have Ward and because you have Baz over Rodriguez. Now, the concern here is, okay, you require a starting pitcher, but not really. You gave up Grayson and you got Shane Baz, and Baz is better. But I still think they need 2 starting pitchers, even though they just got one. My question is, are they gonna be able to land that top guy that they're looking for, and are they going to get another one on top of that?
Well, that's right where I was going, Jacob. I guess how this starting rotation is currently constructed, how do you view it, and do you still expect them to go out and get a top guy like a Suarez or a Valdez?
Right, yes. Shameless plug. I have a story this morning on the Baltimore Sun about the projections for the rotation is that the Orioles have a middle-of-the-pack rotation, but that rotation ranks as the worst in the American League East. Now, I'm probably a little bit higher on the rotation because if you just assume everybody's going to be healthy, which of course you can't do, especially with this team, but if you assume everybody's going to be healthy, like Tyler Wells is your number 5, like I think Tyler Wells might be better than Shane Baz and might be better than Dean Kramer, right? Like we've seen stretches where Tyler Wells is better than both of those guys. So, I mean, if you go back to, he's got a sub-4 ERA since 2022, and he looked really good when he came back last season. So I'm higher on Tyler Wells than most people are, and I'm certainly higher on Kyle Bradish than everybody, I guess. I think he's just kind of a bona fide ace at this point. But, like, when you look at the rotation, it does not have the depth that it needs at all. And I think all of us would agree, despite the fact that I think Tyler Wells is certainly a capable Major League starting pitcher, that this team might be better off, and Tyler Wells might be better off, if you move him to the bullpen. And the only way that you can feel comfortable doing that is if you get 2 starting pitchers where you would say, okay, Tyler Wells isn't, he's not even our 5 or our 6, he's our 7, so we feel comfortable putting him in the pen. And so I don't know if it's as much as, like, I'm more concerned, honestly, about the depth than I am getting a top arm. They certainly need a top arm. Like, if they can get somebody like a Fromber or a Suarez to put up there with Bradish and Rogers, then you have a legitimate, like, World Series contending rotation. But at the same time, I'm just as concerned about, okay, if a couple of these guys get hurt and you don't get enough starters this offseason, then they're going to be in the same situation where, Cade Povich is going to be leaned on heavily, or Brandon Young's going to be starting games for this team early in the season, and they just really can't afford to be in that position.
I probably at various points of my life have been higher on Shane Baz than you on Bradish.
You had a
I've
fetish.
been a Baz believer, but boy, it feels like they paid a price based more on projection than reality to this point. I'm going to ask you what I asked Mark Topkin. What do you think about what they gave up? And are there 1 or 2 of these kids where you're like, ooh, that's the one that might hurt, or that might be the one that got away? Like I look at a kid like for an organization that can't produce any starting pitchers and say, I wonder what that's going to look like in the Rays' hands, and maybe in the Rays' hands as soon as like September of this year.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: if the Rays want some of your guys, then you better take a second look because that's obviously a really smart organization, especially when it comes to pitchers. Obviously Ferret would be the guy that I would point out where if you look back in 5 or 10 years at this trade, and if there's a chance that you look back on it and go, man, that was a really bad trade. The way that we get to that point is obviously Baz either gets hurt or doesn't perform, and one or two of these prospects pop, and then Ferret would be the clear one. Here's I'm as high. Michael Ferret is incredible, and the numbers he's put up in the minors and the stuff that he has. It's not surprising that the Rays that they probably looked at this and said, okay, we want to base this trade around him.
Yes.
And at the same time, just the way the pitching prospects work, I'm not saying that pitching prospects don't exist or aren't real. I don't want to come off that way, but at the same time, in the way baseball is today, they almost sort of don't. Michael Ferret, within the next 3 years, is going to have Tommy John surgery. And I don't say that with any delight at all, but that's just the way that this goes.
Yeah.
He's never had Tommy John. He had forearm issues this past season. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am, but it's just the way that this goes. And so if you have a pitching prospect that you love and you think he's going to be out 18 months at some point within the next 5 years, it's I don't know, in the long run, we're all dead. And especially with this organization when you've got Gunnar for the next 3 years. On top of that, I like all of these prospects, but Slater DeBrun 6 months ago was worth Brian Baker. Okay, so if you swap out DeBrun and you put in Brian Baker, in this universe, let's say the Orioles hadn't traded Brian Baker for Slater DeBrun, these two teams have already declared that Brian Baker is worth Slater DeBrun. And so I think if you look at it that way, it's okay, I don't think fans would be up in arms if they had kept Baker in the summer and then included him in this trade instead of a player like DeBrun. And then O'Vern's ceiling might not be there, right? He might profile as a fourth or fifth outfielder. And so, listen, it's a lot to give up and there's a chance that it backfires. But I do agree with you that this trade was just as much about Baz's ceiling as it is about what he did last season and the year before.
The uplifting Jacob Calvin Meyer joining us here on this Tuesday. Before we let you go, they're aggressive and they keep saying there's more to come. So what do you think is next on their wish list?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious, right? It's the starting pitching, but on top of that, let's play this out. Let's say they get one big arm, but they don't get two. Do they feel the need to get another reliever? I certainly think they need a left-on-left guy for the pen. They don't have that now, right? Keegan Aiken is platoon neutral. Yeah. Dietrich Enns has reverse splits, right? He's better against righties than lefties, so they need a left-on-left guy, and there's not really a ton of options for that on the market. And so on top of that, when I look at this roster, if you make a projection of it, it's do they need a utility infielder?
Yes.
Do they need, how much are you going to trust Leody Taveras as a backup outfielder? Do you feel the need to get a center fielder that can either platoon with Cowser or back him up?
Are you buying this Doyle stuff?
This Doyle stuff?
Yeah. About them,
I don't know.
About them getting Doyle from the Rockies?
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that either.
Maybe it's just it's Twitter trash. I don't know, but I've seen.
I mean, with the Rockies, I guess anything's possible, right?
Yeah. I mean, that would be. But listen, that'd be a glove. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's when I look at the rest of the position player grouping, it's okay. There's a lot of different ways they can go with it: third catcher or utility infielder, or get another center fielder. So, I think the next couple months could still be just as busy as what the past couple have been.
Jacob Calvin Meyer covers the O's for the Baltimore Sun. Jacob, always great, man. Thank you so much for your time. Have yourself a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Happy holidays, brother. We owe you a milkshake.
Yes.
Let us know when you come in. We're here all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I'll in January, we'll set it up.
All right, let's
Sounds
go.
good.